everyone, my name is Dana Jelkinen and I'm the Deputy Director of Museum and Education here at The Ohio State House. And today we're going to try something new that we're going to call Stories in the Stateroom because I'm sitting here in the lovely stateroom of The Ohio State House. This room is used typically speaking for meetings and sometimes for smaller events. So we don't get to show it off to the public a whole lot. It's a really beautiful room and we're excited to be in here to do a little bit of some story time. So today I'm going to be reading the book called The William Hoy Story, and it was written by Nancy Churnin with illustrations by Jez Tuya. And this book is about William Hoy, who is one of our great Ohioans, was selected last year in 2019. And William Hoy was one of the first deaf baseball players to play for professional baseball here in the United States of America. So he's from Ohio, and this book is going to tell his story. We'll talk a little bit more about him afterwards as well. So once again, this is the William Hoy story. William scooped dust to dry the sweat off his slick rubber ball. He stared at the small X he'd chalk on the barn wall. He closed his eyes. He opened them and threw. Bam! He hit the mark. He stepped back so he could try again. His mother waved her arms. She was applauding him. She touched her finger to her mouth to signal eating. He read her lips as she said, "Dinner." William pulled out his pad and pencil. He scribbled, "Just a few more. I want to be perfect for tryouts." His mother nodded. His family was passing the mashed potatoes around the table when William opened the door. He read his father's lips, telling him to wash up for dinner. He also read what his father's lips mouthed to his mother. "Baseball," his father said, shaking his head. "It will never last." Still, William couldn't wait to try out at his school, the Ohio State School for the Deaf. At tryouts, he threw the ball. He caught it. He batted. He waited. "Too small," the team captain said. William never got much taller than 5'5". He couldn't do anything about that. But maybe they'd give him another chance if he aimed better and ran faster. So every day, after homework and chores, he practiced. One day, William was standing outside the cobbler shop where he fixed shoes, wistfully watching men play baseball in a far-off field. A foul ball crashed by his feet. With his strong, sure arm, he threw the ball straight into the amazed player's waiting hand. "Hey kid," the player called, "want to join us?" But William couldn't read the player's lips from where he was, so he turned and went back to work. The man ran to William and tapped his back to get his attention. William whirled around. This time, when the man repeated the question, he understood. He scrambled happily to the outfield. William threw the ball smack into his teammate's hands. When he was up at bat, he sent it soaring where no one could catch it. "What's your name?" asked one of the players. "William Hoy," William wrote. The man looked at the piece of paper a long time. He seemed to be thinking. "Do you want to try out for our team?" he asked William at last. William grinned. He sure did. William soon learned life in the hearing world wasn't easy. Unlike his parents, few people used sign language in the 1880s, and certainly not in baseball. He won a spot on the first team he tried out for, but the manager smirked when he offered William less money than he paid the others. "I quit," William told him with his notebook. He quickly found another team. But even on his new team, some players talked behind his back so he wouldn't know what they were saying. Others hid their mouths so he couldn't read their lips. One day, a pitcher played the meanest trick of all. William let 3 pitches go by because he thought they were balls. He was too far to read the umpire's lips, and he didn't know they were actually strikes. He stood, gripping his bat, waiting for the next pitch. But the next pitch never came. William was confused. Suddenly, the pitcher burst out laughing. He pointed to the fans in the stands, laughing too. William's face grew hot. He walked off quickly. He wasn't going to cry. Not about baseball, he told himself. He jammed his hands in his pockets. Paper crunched against his fist. He pulled out a letter from his mother. He read again how much she missed him. William missed his family too. He remembered how his mom would raise her arms to applaud him. "That's it! William pulled out his pad and drew pictures. He scribbled words next to the pictures. He wrote, he wrote, he wrote. He ran to find the umpire. The umpire read William's notes. "Yes, that could work," he said. The next time William was at bat, the umpire raised his right hand for a strike and his left for a ball. He used American Sign Language symbols for safe and out. This time, William got on base. He stole bases. He scored. In his first year in the majors, he led the National League in stolen bases. With his strong, sure arm, he became the first player to throw 3 base runners out at the plate in one game, from the outfield. William taught his teammates signs so they could discuss plays without the other team hearing. They loved it. The fans enjoyed learning signs too. In those days, before speakers and giant screens, hearing the umpire's calls from the back of the bleachers was hard to do. Now, even the farthest member of the crowd could see the signals. Teams begged for William. He played for several before signing with the Cincinnati Reds, near his family farm. William was proud to show his parents that the boy who didn't make the school team was one of the most popular players in baseball. When William stepped up to the plate, shaking his bat over his shoulder, fans knew he'd hit or walk his way to first, then swiftly steal his way around the bases. Carefully watching the signals, he led the American League in walks in 1901. He was called the King of Center Field because for 10 years, he was ranked among the top 5 outfielders to get hitters out by catching hard-to-reach fly balls. After William became a star, he thought nothing could surprise him. Then, one day, when he ran out onto the field, fans waved their arms from the stands, just as his mother did when he was a boy. They waved their hats, too. William said he'd never cry about baseball, but he did cry at the sight of deaf applause. All he'd wanted to do since he was a boy was find a way to play his favorite game. He never dreamed he'd change how the game was played, but he did, and we still cheer him today. The end. So William Hoy, who is sometimes called William Dummy Hoy, and that was a nickname that he actually preferred because at that time, people who were unable to speak, which was often true of deaf people who could speak very little, were called dumb. And he actually took on that nickname of Dummy Hoy as one that he was very proud of to show that he was proud to be in the deaf community. So even though sometimes we hear the term dummy today and we think of it as a negative word, that wasn't the case for William Hoy at the time. So if you happen to look him up, if you want to learn more about him, you will see that nickname with him as well. And he was selected as a Great Ohioan, as I mentioned, in 2019. So if you go to visit the State House website, www.ohiostatehouse.org, and go to the museum tab, you'll find under there the Great Ohioans, and you can look up William Dummy Hoy and learn more about him and see some pictures that are associated with him and his career in baseball as well. So I definitely hope that you learned about somebody new from Ohio, certainly important to our history, and that you enjoyed our story. And we're planning on coming back every Wednesday and hopefully doing some more stories about Great Ohioans and about Ohio and some of our history as well. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. See you soon. Bye.